The council found a Deathworld apex predator inside a human diplomat's home. The fatal mistake wasn't discovering it, it was believing the human needed to be rescued.
Senior Public Security Inspector Jorvik, of the elegant avian Yoru species, had inspected pirate vaults, bioweapon laboratories, and abandoned battle stations where entire civilizations had disappeared without leaving a distress call. Nothing in 28 standard cycles of service had prepared him for Apartment 17 inside humanity's newly assigned diplomatic residence aboard Federation Station Asterion. The assignment itself appeared routine, verify that the human delegation respected Council safety doctrine following first contact. Every intelligent species entering Federation territory accepted identical regulations. Dangerous predators were prohibited inside civilian habitats. Venomous organisms required military containment. Carnivorous Deathworld fauna were exterminated before colonization. The doctrine had preserved peace for nearly 3,000 years because every civilized species understood the same simple principle: predators belonged outside the home. Then the thermal scanners detected a compact lifeform hidden beneath a sofa. Its biological profile immediately triggered multiple crimson alerts. Retractable claws. Forward-facing binocular vision. Muscular ambush anatomy. Silent locomotion. Exceptional low-light eyesight. Carnivore. Solitary hunter. Threat index 99. Inspector Jorvik froze. According to every council database, someone had smuggled a perfectly evolved assassin directly into the residence of humanity's ambassador. Jorvik ordered the entire inspection corridor sealed before informing his superior, Commander Thes Ruin of the heavily armored Drugvo, whose species measured tactical success entirely through statistical certainty. The commander's first reaction was disbelief. His second was considerably worse. Within minutes, orbital surveillance drones repositioned around the diplomatic sector while emergency containment teams silently occupied neighboring corridors. Nobody informed the humans. Standard Council doctrine demanded observation before intervention whenever an unknown biological threat appeared. The tactical AI continued assembling its assessment, each new result increasing rather than reducing the danger classification. The creature possessed extraordinary balance, explosive acceleration, flexible skeletal articulation, highly sensitive auditory organs, and behavioral patterns matching elite ambush predators responsible for multiple extinctions across different ecosystems. Every comparison reached the same impossible conclusion despite originating from unrelated worlds. Probability of accidental similarity, 0.0004%, announced the computer. Commander Thes stared at the rotating hologram. Explain. The AI complied without emotion. This organism independently evolved every characteristic our military academies associate with apex predation. Silence spread through the command center. Then an analyst quietly whispered the question nobody wanted to ask. Did humans intentionally bring one aboard the station? The answer arrived moments later through surveillance feeds. Ambassador Braylon David entered his apartment carrying diplomatic documents beneath one arm and a small paper package beneath the other. Every security officer expected panic when the predator inevitably attacked. Instead, Braylon calmly removed his boots, spoke several relaxed words in English, and knelt beside the unidentified organism as though greeting an old friend. The predator emerged from beneath the sofa without hesitation. Its movements were impossibly smooth, each silent step reinforcing every tactical warning already displayed across the command center. Even Commander Thes instinctively leaned backward. The creature stopped directly before the human, looked upward with unblinking golden eyes, then gently rubbed its face against Braylon's hand. The human laughed. Not nervous laughter. Genuine affection. He opened the paper package and offered the predator several tiny food rewards, one piece at a time. The tactical AI attempted to reconcile the interaction for nearly 12 seconds before displaying a message unprecedented in Federation history. Observed behavior incompatible with established predator-prey doctrine. Requesting doctrinal review. Inspector Jorvik suddenly realized the impossible truth. Humanity had not imprisoned the predator. Humanity had somehow earned its trust. The Council emergency session convened less than an hour later. Representatives from 38 civilizations argued simultaneously while the surveillance recording replayed above the chamber. Several delegates demanded immediate quarantine of every human vessel. Others insisted the footage had been fabricated using psychological warfare software. Among the observers sat Envoy Salira, a renowned female Hunfears diplomat whose crystalline biology reflected shifting iridescent colors beneath the chamber lights. Humans who had previously encountered her often described her appearance as breathtakingly harmonious despite her unmistakably alien anatomy, an observation that fascinated xenopsychologists almost as much as today's crisis. Selira ignored the political shouting and concentrated on the animal's body language instead. "Notice the tail position," she quietly observed. The chamber reluctantly fell silent. The predator is displaying social comfort rather than territorial dominance. Several military advisors dismissed her conclusion immediately. "Impossible," one protested. Selira remained calm. "Impossible according to our doctrine. Not necessarily according to reality." That distinction unsettled the council more than any alarm. If humanity had rewritten one universal law of civilized behavior, what other assumptions might already be obsolete? Before anyone could answer, another intelligence report interrupted the meeting. Federation Customs had discovered additional biological registrations accompanying the human delegation. Dogs, parrots, snakes, lizards. The chamber erupted into chaos once again. Commander Thess refused to rely solely on remote observation. If humans truly normalized coexistence with apex predators, every Federation security model required immediate revision. He therefore authorized Operation Silent Hearth, a covert inspection designed to retrieve environmental samples from Apartment 17 while Ambassador Braylon attended formal negotiations. Inspector Yorvek protested that entering the residence without diplomatic approval risked violating interstellar law, but Thess considered the possibility of hidden biological weapons a greater concern. 3 Drugvo tactical specialists, supported by 2 Yoru reconnaissance officers, infiltrated the apartment using maintenance conduits that bypassed civilian surveillance. Every movement followed textbook precision. Bioscanners mapped every room. Atmospheric samplers detected no toxins. Energy signatures remained perfectly ordinary. Yet something unsettled the soldiers almost immediately. The apartment did not resemble any alien residence. Artificial climbing structures covered one wall. Soft platforms occupied sunny windows. Suspended toys dangled from shelves. Small bowls containing water and carefully measured food stood beside elegant sleeping cushions. "These are enrichment devices," whispered Yorvek after translating the human labels. "For the predator?" asked a soldier. "Apparently, yes." No civilization in recorded history had invested engineering effort into improving the emotional well-being of an apex carnivore. The revelation disturbed the commandos more deeply than any weapon ever could. Then one bioscanner emitted a single quiet tone. Heat signature detected. The apartment was no longer empty. Somewhere inside the silent residence, unseen golden eyes had already begun watching the intruders. The first soldier noticed the eyes before the scanners confirmed the movement. 2 amber circles floated in the darkness beneath a dining chair, perfectly motionless, reflecting only the emergency indicators on the tactical visors. Every Drugvo commando immediately raised an energy shield. According to Federation doctrine, an ambush predator that remained still after detecting intruders had already selected its attack vector. Inspector Yorvek forced himself to breathe slowly while reviewing the biosensor feed. Heart rate, elevated but stable. Body temperature, relaxed. No aggressive vocalizations. No charging posture. The data contradicted the soldiers' instincts, yet none of them lowered their weapons. The creature simply observed them with unnerving patience. Then, without warning, it stood, stretched its spine in one fluid motion, extended every retractable claw against the polished floor, and released a deep, vibrating rumble. The apartment seemed to resonate with the sound. Tactical translators immediately classified it as low-frequency territorial signaling, assigning an 89% probability that the predator was announcing confidence rather than fear. One nervous commando whispered, "It's preparing itself." Another quietly replied, "No, it's letting us know it already owns this room." The creature walked forward without haste, weaving effortlessly between furniture that had clearly been arranged for its comfort. Every movement was economical, silent, and astonishingly precise. The commandos instinctively retreated despite outnumbering the animal 5-1. Their combat computers continuously updated threat projections, each simulation ending in contradictory conclusions. Physically, the predator was too small to overwhelm armored soldiers. Behaviorally, however, it displayed absolute confidence in the presence of unknown intruders, something no survival algorithm could explain. Inspector Yorvek watched in disbelief as the animal ignored their weapons entirely and instead jumped gracefully onto the back of a sofa overlooking the room like a commander surveying a battlefield. Its tail moved lazily while its pupils narrowed into vertical slits. The tactical AI suddenly highlighted a new concern. Predator maintains elevated observation point. Visual control of all exits achieved. Commander Thess, monitoring remotely, frowned. It's controlling terrain. Yorvek hesitated before answering. Or perhaps, it simply likes high places. Neither explanation reassured anyone listening. The uncertainty itself had become the greatest threat. Before anyone could advance farther, the station's internal security grid detected an entirely separate emergency. A mercenary cell belonging to the extremist SILS collective had infiltrated Asterion Station disguised as maintenance contractors. Their objective was not assassination but espionage. Human quantum navigation research had become one of the galaxy's most valuable strategic assets, and several rival powers believed stealing even fragments of the technology could alter the balance of interstellar trade. The mercenaries intercepted encrypted maintenance maps and unknowingly selected Apartment 17 as the fastest route toward the ambassador's private data core. Federation security immediately ordered Commander Thess to withdraw his inspection team to avoid exposing the covert operation. He refused. Instead, he instructed Yorvek's squad to remain hidden and observe. Moments later, 3 heavily equipped SILS operatives silently breached the apartment's service entrance. Their equipment rendered them invisible to conventional optics, but not to biological eyes. High upon the sofa, the small predator slowly turned its head toward the newcomers. For the first time since the operation began, the animal's body became perfectly still. The mercenaries never noticed the hidden Federation team. Their attention remained fixed on the encrypted workstation inside Ambassador Braylon's office. The apartment was silent enough that the faint ticking of a decorative human wall clock became almost unbearable. One SILS operative advanced toward the office while another scanned for electronic surveillance. The third paused beneath the sofa where the predator had disappeared moments earlier. "Area clear," he transmitted over a secure channel. The statement lasted less than 2 seconds before an unexpected sound shattered the silence. A sharp hiss echoed through the room. Every SILS soldier spun toward the noise instinctively. The predator now stood atop a nearby bookshelf, back arched dramatically, fur expanded until its body appeared nearly twice its normal size. Its ears flattened while its unblinking eyes remained locked on the intruders. Federation databases interpreted the posture instantly. Maximum intimidation display. The mercenaries reacted with astonishing speed, not by attacking the animal, but by raising their plasma carbines toward it. Inspector Yorvek stared in disbelief. They feared the creature more than the hidden possibility of human security forces. "Impossible," whispered one Drugvo soldier. "They think it's hunting them." The next 30 seconds permanently altered Federation tactical doctrine. Startled by the sudden confrontation, one nervous mercenary fired a single plasma burst that struck a kitchen cabinet instead of the animal. Automated fire suppression systems activated immediately. Emergency bulkheads sealed the apartment. Station alarms erupted across the diplomatic sector. The predator vanished before anyone registered where it had gone. Motion trackers failed to acquire it. Thermal sensors briefly detected movement above the ventilation ducts, then lost contact entirely. The SILS commandos abandoned all discipline. They swept their weapons wildly across the room, convinced the unseen Deathworld hunter had begun stalking them through the apartment. Hidden behind a structural partition, Inspector Yorvek watched trained professional soldiers unravel psychologically without a single physical attack occurring. Every unexpected shadow became a threat. Every creaking pipe became approaching claws. Commander Thess finally understood the true weapon humans had brought into the Federation. It was not superior strength. It was familiarity. Humans had spent thousands of years living beside creatures capable of inspiring primal fear, until that fear no longer controlled their judgment. Other civilizations had erased predators from their worlds. Humanity had invited them into their homes. Then the apartment door unlocked. Ambassador Braylon David returned from the Council Summit several hours earlier than scheduled. Carrying a diplomatic case in one hand, he immediately stopped as alarms echoed through the corridor and the damaged furniture came into view. The hidden Federation inspectors froze. The terrified mercenaries froze. Somewhere above them, unseen among the ventilation shadows, the silent predator watched everything unfold. Braylon slowly set his briefcase on the floor. His expression shifted from confusion to absolute focus. Without raising his voice, he spoke a single calm sentence into the quiet apartment. "Caramel, where are you?" For one impossible second, nobody moved. The SILS mercenaries kept their plasma carbines trained on every shadow, convinced the unseen Deathworld hunter was waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Inspector Yorvek and the Federation inspectors remained concealed behind the damaged partition, uncertain whether revealing themselves would escalate the catastrophe. Then a soft thump echoed from the ventilation duct. A small gray and amber shape landed gracefully on the living room table before calmly walking toward Ambassador Braylon David with its tail held high. The predator ignored the armed intruders completely. Instead, it let out the same deep vibrating rumble the tactical translators had earlier classified as territorial dominance. Braylon immediately smiled with unmistakable relief. "There you are, Caramel. Holstering the sidearm he had drawn while entering the apartment, he crouched, scooped the animal into his arms, and gently scratched beneath its chin. The vibration grew louder. Across the room, every alien weapon remained pointed at the creature. Braylon slowly looked up, noticed the mercenaries cornered against the wall, then finally spotted the hidden Federation inspection team emerging in embarrassment from cover. His smile vanished instantly. "Would somebody," he asked with icy composure, "care to explain why my apartment is full of armed strangers terrifying my cat?" The silence that followed weighed more heavily than any military accusation. Commander Thess arrived personally within minutes, accompanied by council legal officers and emergency security personnel. The Sills mercenaries surrendered without resistance, their morale already shattered by an enemy that had never attacked them. Yet the council's greatest concern had shifted entirely. Ambassador Braylon refused to discuss classified navigation research until someone justified the unauthorized entry into his diplomatic residence. Inspector Jorvik stepped forward before anyone else could speak. Every instinct urged him to defend Federation protocol, but intellectual honesty outweighed institutional pride. He admitted the truth from beginning to end: the thermal scan, the threat classification, the covert inspection, and the assumption that humans could not possibly coexist willingly with an apex predator. Braylon listened quietly while continuing to stroke Caramel, whose half-closed eyes suggested complete indifference to the political crisis unfolding around him. When Jorvik finished, the ambassador sighed. "You didn't misunderstand my cat," he said calmly. "You misunderstood humanity." Several council officials frowned. Braylon continued. "On Earth, survival never came from eliminating every danger. It came from learning which dangers could become partners." He glanced affectionately toward Caramel. "Trust isn't the absence of claws. It's choosing to build a relationship despite them." Those words spread through the Galactic Federation faster than any intelligence report in recent history. Universities suspended xenobiology lectures to debate the psychological implications. Military academies rewrote tactical doctrine after concluding that humanity's greatest strategic advantage was neither superior technology nor unusual physical endurance. It was cognitive flexibility. While nearly every advanced civilization had evolved by removing uncertainty from daily life, humans had evolved by negotiating with it. They had domesticated wolves until they became loyal guardians. They had welcomed small feline hunters into their homes because those predators controlled vermin more effectively than any machine. Over thousands of years, practical cooperation had transformed fear into companionship. To humans, coexistence with capable predators represented patience, observation, and mutual adaptation. To the Federation, it represented an unimaginable psychological anomaly. Envoy Salira summarized the revelation before the full council. "We believed civilization required separating ourselves from dangerous nature. Humanity proved another path exists. They carry the Deathworld with them, and somehow convince it to sleep beside the fireplace." No delegate laughed. They had all seen the recordings. None wished to underestimate human normality again. The Council's response became known as the Companion Protocols, the first interstellar legislation inspired by a single domestic animal. Human embassies no longer required surprise biological inspections. Instead, visiting officials received mandatory cultural briefings explaining Earth's domestication history, common companion species, and the extraordinary distinction humans made between danger and trust. Every briefing ended with one sentence highlighted in bright red across every Federation language: "If a human smiles and says, 'Don't worry, they're friendly,' do not assume your own instincts are incorrect, but do assume the human has spent a lifetime understanding that creature in ways you have not." Inspector Jorvik later published his personal report, admitting that the most dangerous misconception in the galaxy had not been the existence of predators. It had been believing humanity viewed fear the same way everyone else did. The report became required reading for every diplomat assigned to human space. Years later, when new civilizations joined the Federation, veteran ambassadors often began cultural orientation with a photograph rather than a military briefing. It showed Ambassador Braylon sitting comfortably on his apartment sofa while Caramel slept peacefully beside him. Beneath the image appeared a simple caption that every recruit remembered forever: "Never threaten what a human chooses to protect. Especially when it's family." Today, the galaxy learned that humans never conquered their Deathworld by destroying every predator, they conquered it by earning their trust. And when someone threatens that trust, humanity responds with a determination no doctrine can predict. Subscribe to humanity's Vanguard, HFY and Sci-Fi stories, and witness the next war before the Council realizes it has already begun.